Hello, Anime Donkey here. Today, we are going to talk about how a fight will go down between Accelerator, Academy City's strongest Esper, and Shiba Tatsuya, the irregular of Magic High. Both rewrite reality, but only one will win. First, we need to do some debunking. And no, Accelerator is not outerversal. Let's get into it. Toru's phases are conceptual filters, not multiversal layers. Even the author, Kamachi, confirmed there's only one universe. There is even info saying phases collides and causes sparks, which makes it not even qualified for a hyperversal structure. Hyperverse structure needs to be fixed and a lot larger to contain lower dimensions. For example, the fourth phase contains an infinite number of third phases. There is no shrinking or bumping into each other. This completely disqualifies. Another statement that comes up a lot is teleportation uses 11D calculations. If you have done any university-level physics class, you know a lot of the dimension stuff in Toru is closer to modeling using 11 variables. For example, when modeling a robot arm, we are doing 9 dimensions calculations, and it's not spatial dimensions. You include position x, position y, position z, rotation, pitch, yaw, time, force, and so on in a vector or matrix. Well, that is not the point of this video, as even in the irregular Magic High there is theory about higher dimensions and how gravity is just the projection of a higher dimension force, and neither Tatsuya or Accelerator is not immune to time, as they both age is also not temporal higher dimensional. So both exist on the same ground. With the BS out of the window, Accelerator's ability is called vector control. At its core, it allows him to manipulate any vector he comes into contact with. That means any force or quantity that has both magnitude and direction. Like all espers in Toru, Accelerator's power stems from his AIM field, a subconscious emission of power particles tied to his personal reality. He can manipulate the vectors of anything he touches, so attacks in 3D are all useless against him, as he can reflect them back. His platinum wings allows him to assign vectors to phenomena that does not have a vector in 3D space by assigning imaginary vectors to them. With these abilities, most attacks that travel will stand absolutely no chance. Even Universe Buster will be reflected back. A lot of anime characters will not even be able to touch him. But for Shiba Tatsuya it's going to be easy. We need to understand the core world building of the universe first, which is very complex and identical to coding. Humans, object and any phenomena are defined in the information dimensions like the blueprints of reality. You can think of it as the data that defines reality. This dimension is not a physical dimension but a conceptual space that has very restricted access. It might be confusing when watching the anime showing random 3D vision in blue. A normal magician needs to see a target and use support tools to affect the IDOS of a target, but skilled ones can extract the location of magicians and magic they used without physically seeing them. Tatsuya was born with the ability of elemental sights, which grants him the ability to connect with the information dimension where he can see all the data of reality: magician location, magic used, anything hiding behind obstacles, snipers, molecules, atoms, and even higher dimension ghosts. With this power he can fetch IDOS, the blueprints of reality, from the information dimensions and translate them into signals for his brain to understand. He can retrace magic, effects and even history up to 24 hours prior to investigate. This grants him the ability to view the information of anyone and anything anywhere. The only known limitation is that if he doesn't know what he is looking, then he cannot find it, obviously. Like if you don't even know what you need to ask ChatGPT, then there is nothing it can do for you. Normal magician cast changes by editing the existing data of a specific target that is then reflected over reality. The innate power of Tatsuya's magic is the ability to completely delete the data of a specific target, but also to undo the status, be it magic, humans or objects. I am not going to go over all of his abilities because some of them are just useful in his verse, so they do not really matter against Accelerator. The main ability that will easily kill Accelerator is called Demon Right, where Tatsuya can use elemental sight to view the data defining Accelerator in reality and delete his existence. There is no distance or vector involved, he just suddenly disappears. You can try to argue that he can analyze the whole information dimension and assign imaginary vector so that he can defeat him after, but the thing is he does not have access to it, as it is not a physical dimension, and unlike dark matter that still needs to travel to the target. If you ever used the big nerdy operating system called Linux, you know that there is no vector. You can't even see a file's image, you can only see text output. Good luck trying to place vector around. Another argument will be that he was able to analyze 11 dimensions attacks, so there is no way he can't analyze IDOS. Well, first of all, in modern LLM artificial models they compute up to 12,288 dimensional space, so by your definition Accelerator's brain is less performant than a normal LLM, and it is nowhere stated to be 11 physical space, so don't ever bring that up again. The last factor is that Demon's Right does not partially delete Accelerator for him to have time to slowly analyze. With his brain gone he can't do anything. The only thing he can do that might affect Tatsuya is soul manipulation, but he will probably die way before that happens. The Demon Right's activation is under 0.05 seconds and can delete up to 36 targets at the same time. Magician normally cast data fortification where they replicate the IDOS and projects it back to the target, which Accelerator does not have, and it might not even work on complex data like living beings. Some of you might say he will get blitz, but to spray some salt in the wound, speed in IDOS is represented by a number. Knowing his IDOS's ID, he won't be able to escape. Even if he did travel using an infinite vector speed, his body won't be able to handle it. And another application of decomposition is that Tatsuya can generate a wall that decomposes any matter coming at him, just like Accelerator's vector barrier. Even if Accelerator managed to hit Tatsuya, he can restore any healthy version of his IDOS if it doesn't hit his brain. This is not regeneration, as he is not fixing anything but just going back in time to a previous version. This magic is called regrowth and can even restore objects to their previous state. You can kind of look at it like the shortcut Ctrl-Z where you undo a change. Further in the story, he can even replicate spells by using regrowth to restore a spell he has seen before, which makes him even more broken. Platinum wings are not anything that exist in reality. Imprints and IDOS therefore can be deleted. If you equip Tatsuya Shiba with his full capabilities, including his material burst form, the power gap between him and Accelerator becomes even more pronounced. Material burst is not just another magical attack, it is a weapon of mass destruction on a conceptual level. Tatsuya has the ability to decompose matter at the atomic level and then reconstruct it in a highly volatile form, effectively turning any substance, even something as small as a droplet of water, into the equivalent of a nuclear warhead. In fact, in the anime adaptation of The Irregular at Magic High School, he demonstrated this terrifying ability by converting a mere droplet into a bomb so powerful it mirrored the destructive force of the blast that annihilated Academy City in a certain magical index. What makes Tatsuya even more dangerous is that there is no theoretical upper limit to the amount of matter he can convert. Unlike Accelerator, whose abilities, though godlike, still require interaction with vectors and some form of physical input, like touch or line-of-sight manipulation, Tatsuya's decomposition and regrowth abilities, combined with material burst, allow him to operate on a level that disregards conventional combat limitations. He doesn't need to see, touch, or even be near his target to eliminate it. Moreover, Tatsuya's mindset in combat is ruthlessly pragmatic. He doesn't fight for dominance or out of pride, he fights to neutralize threats with lethal efficiency. While Accelerator tends to toy with opponents, seeking to prove that he is the strongest and sometimes holding back until he is personally threatened, Tatsuya approaches every encounter as a mission. He will always aim for a kill if the situation calls for it, with little to no emotional hesitation. This difference in mentality becomes a decisive factor. Accelerator often waits to counterattack or relies on his reflection abilities, but that hesitation can cost him dearly against someone like Tatsuya, who would obliterate the battlefield before Accelerator has a chance to adapt or react. However, this analysis strictly applies to raw power and combat efficiency. From a storytelling perspective, the Toru franchise, a certain magical index and a certain scientific railgun, offers a far richer tapestry of narratives and character development. Accelerator's internal conflicts, the complexity of the science versus magic dynamic, and the expansive world-building of Academy City make it a more intricate and engaging universe. The Irregular at Magic High School excels in demonstrating overwhelming magical power and technical lore, but in terms of character variety, moral ambiguity, and thematic exploration, Toru arguably offers more depth and emotional range.